Welcome to Knicksfandom. This is an independent New York Knicks fan-based podcast, which was created by fans for fans. The show is hosted by LA Blackwell, Danny, and Flau. They'll discuss the issues surrounding the Knicks, the NBA, and various other sports-related topics. Join us. It's going to be a heck of a ride.
Welcome back. You know you like that. This is episode 22 of our podcast known as Knicksfandom. Hey, listeners, we're pleased to bring you another spectacular episode. I'm your host, as always, LA Blackwell. I'm doing well. How about you, Danny D? How everything on your side?
LA, man, everything's good. Just another day. It's the slogan that I say. What's going on, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I'm also joined by my other fellow co-host, Flo. How's everything, Flo?
LA, I'm great, man. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. We back, man. Episode 22. Feels good to be back on the air, fellas. Let's get our show started, right? And we go into our first revamped segment known as Off the Cuff. Okay, listeners, he did it. Oklahoma City Thunder point guard Russell Westbrook has become the first NBA player in 55 years to average a triple-double for a season and the second in league history after the big old Oscar Robertson. What are your thoughts overall? Oh, and just before we start on the podcast, he eliminated Denver Nuggets with a three-pointer with 2.9 seconds left in the game in a win of 106-105. Sorry, Denver Nugget fans, you're out of there. Russell Westbrook is on fire. Thunder's doing their thing. How about you, fellas? What you think about what Russell Westbrook has done? Starting with you, Danny D.
Man, 42nd triple-double right now with the Denver, man. I have to give that man props, man. I really thought he wouldn't do it. I really thought that his body wouldn't hold up. That it would be too much for him. Russell has to also thank his teammates because they really did help him out to get the triple-double, to do it as a team option. Yo, congrats, man. You did your thing, Westbrook. I can't even lie, man. He did his thing.
Definitely. How about you, Flo? What you think about that? Thank you, Danny D.
Well, LA, if you remember in a previous podcast, I did say Westbrook will definitely finish the season with a triple-double. You disagree with me. And I was correct on this. So I'm very proud of him. Congrats. Well-deserved. I'll be honest with you. I've always thought that Jason Kidd would be that guy that would reach that Oscar Robertson level of averaging a triple-double per season when he was playing with the New Jersey Nets. But unfortunately, that never happened. But you know what? Kudos to Russell Westbrook. Congrats.
Thank you, Flo. Yeah, I do recall that early in one of our podcasts. We talked about it. I didn't think it was going to happen either. I agree with Danny D. I thought he was going to break down. It hasn't happened, 55 years or so, something like that. So, kudos to you with that Russell Westbrook as well. You, Flo, you hit that on the head. I give you that. But overall, I guess, as I was saying before, he did it. I was very shocked. I was very happy to see it, though. It's one of those records that you saw in the record books. I didn't think it was going to happen. It's one of those things that as the season went on, you was like, is it really going to happen? Is it going to keep going on? And now they're talking about MVP. So right now, he's still my leading vote getter for MVP, but we'll see as that goes. There's only a couple of games left in the season, and we'll just take it from there. But one other thing I want to talk about in the off-the-cuff segment is the Golden State Warriors, basically. Stephen Curry, he was out for Saturday's game against the Pelicans with a left knee contusion, and he was considered doubtful after that Friday practice, but it's also the same game that Kevin Durant came back, which they won that game. But just in my eyes, I'm just trying to see if y'all guys, do you think the Warriors are going to continue to, they won 14 games in a row, so, you can't take nothing away from with that. But do you think these injuries are going to catch up with them down the road, going for the playoff-wise and championship-wise? So just trying to see, do you think it's going to blow off before the playoffs start, or you think there's something really you have to worry about? So on what you Flo this time. What you think about that?
Honestly, LA, I believe the Golden State Warriors have nothing to be concerned about. They'll be all right. They're just going through the motions. They've won 14 straight basketball games in a row. They're gelling and they're winning at the right time. You always want to be able to be successful near the end of the season. So they'll be fine. Nothing for them to be worried about. They'll be back in the finals. Nothing to worry about.
Okay. You heard it here from Flo. We'll see what you think. Thank you, Flo. What about you, Danny D? What you think about the Warriors? Anything to worry about, or just think it's going to blow over?
Yeah. Man, it's going to blow over, man. Nothing to worry about. Concur with Flo. They're getting all the Knicks and crannies out before the playoff starts. KD is coming back. They're getting the things, beat up on a couple of teams before the playoff starts. They're trying to fine-tune some things. They'll be okay.
Okay. Both of you guys. I'm a little on the fence a little bit. I think after a while the injuries is going to take a little toll on them. Not saying they're not going to make it to the finals, but I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park like I thought early in the season. I don't really think they had the depth that I thought they would, compared to last year's team. And also, you don't know how Durant's going to respond with this. His first game back, he had 16 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, but it's an MCL sprain, so you don't know how long something like that's going to take. And it was a grade 2 injury. So he only shot, he didn't shoot the ball badly. It was like 6 of 15, I think 0 of 4 from three-point land. But the funny thing is they kind of played better a little bit without him. It's like they were doing a little bit more of the same stuff they did before he got there. So I felt they were a little more comfortable. Now they're trying to readjust with him back in the lineup. So it's going to take a little time. You also have to see how Stephen Curry going to play, come back from his injury. So I think it depends on who they play, whether it's the Spurs or something like that. I think it's not going to be a walk in the park. But, we'll see what happens. They got a lot of weapons over there. And, time will tell with that. But thank you for that, fellas. I appreciate that. Anything else you want to add to Off the Cuff? If anybody has a topic or something they want to bring up real quick before we jump into our next segment. Danny D, got anything?
I'm ready.
Okay, Flo, you got anything?
No, I'm good, LA.
All right. Thank you, fellas, for that. That was Off the Cuff. And we're going to jump right into our next segment known as Tip Off. Tip Off, as we always say, is a regular segment where we think about a certain topic we like to discuss in the group format. And we find it interesting. We hope you, the listener, also finds it interesting. Starting with you this time, Danny D. You got anything for our Tip Off segment?
All right, guys. So my tip-off segment is regarding Paul George. So we got Tim Cato from SBNation.com and also Bob Kravitz from WTHR.com. So basically, right now, Paul George is in the hands of 100 media members that can decide Paul George's fate in Indiana. Right now, with the new collective bargaining agreement, with the CBA agreement, they have something called the Designated Veteran Clause, which states that superstars on their second contract with the team that drafted them can get an increase up to like 5%. So if he hits certain requirements. So Paul George has to make an all NBA team, either first, second, or third team, win MVP, or become Defensive Player of the Year. So he can get an increase on his contract extension. So his increase on his contract extension could be just like this, guys. So if he makes the NBA All-Team, or he becomes MVP or Defensive Player of the Year, Indiana can give him a 5-year deal worth $209 million. That will be $42 million a year. If he doesn't make the team, MVP, or NBA team, Indiana can offer him a 5-year deal, which will be worth $179 million, and it'll be worth $35 million a year. But the problem is, another team can offer Paul George a 4-year deal worth $132 million, and it'll be $33 million a year. So the media has to make this decision if he can make the NBA All-Team. And it's only 6 spots because he's not going to win MVP and he's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year. So there's only 6 spots for the forward position. And the 6 spots between the forward position, LeBron James is going to get it. Kawhi Leonard is going to get a spot. Antetokounmpo is going to make a spot. Now the remaining forwards he has to fight over is going to either be Anthony Davis, if they consider him a forward, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, and Jimmy Butler. So they're saying if he doesn't make the All-NBA team, it doesn't make any sense for him to stay because the Lakers can give him the 4-year, $132 million because it makes no sense to stay in Indiana because it'd be a $2 million difference. What's the point of saying he can go elsewhere? If he makes the NBA All-NBA team, he's going to make a lot more money by getting the designated player position by staying in Indiana. And what you guys feel about that?
Yeah, thank you, Dan D. I appreciate that. I did hear that in the news earlier. What was the fourth player? I know you said Davis, Green, and Butler.
It could be so all of fours. It can be LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Antetokounmpo, Anthony Davis, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, and Jimmy Butler. And Kevin Love might be in there also, defending because he has to try to become in the top 6. Gotcha. If he doesn't make in the top 6, he's not going to get anything.
To me, that's the only spot he has, a chance at. To be honest with you, I don't see MVP. Definitely not defensive player of the year.
Or defensive player of the year. Yeah, that's the clause if you get that. But that's the thing. he said he's not really worried about it, but the faith really resides on it. Because if not, other teams can be like, what's the point? What's the point of staying? It's only a $2 million difference. You can go to another, you know what I'm saying, go to the big lights.
Unless you want to be one of the players that finished their whole career with one team, like Kobe did, things like that. But how about you, Flo? I saw with you. What you think about that overall? Thank you, D.
I definitely hope he does make the All-NBA team. You definitely got to put him over Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant missed a lot of games. So I'll definitely put him over Durant. And I have to put him over Jimmy Butler. Much as I hate to say it, but yeah, I have to put him over Jimmy Butler.
So you think he deserves it?
Oh, definitely. I think he'll make it as the last forward.
Okay. Continue, Flo.
No, he deserves it. I expect him to get it, but his vote is in the media's hands. Yeah. It really depends on the relationship he has with the media, but I think he deserves it. I expect him to get it. I think he's had a better season than Butler, Durant. He's got to make it in as the last forward. I definitely think he'll make it after Anthony Davis.
Yeah. Thank you, Flo. Appreciate that. What you think about Danny D? I'm still thinking about something.
So when they say that too, I mean, they said another thing also is that, remember, all guys, about all the other members that probably make the playoffs, it won't be Anthony Davis. And the only player to make an All-NBA team in the last 2 years that did not make the playoffs was Boogie Cousins. So they're saying that's a major part of it too, if his team makes the playoffs. I really think I have to give him the edge over. I'll give him the edge over Draymond Green. I don't see how Draymond Green is going to be over Paul George. That's my personal opinion. And I don't see how you put Draymond Green or Kevin Durant over Paul George. Kevin Durant been hurt, and Draymond Green, I don't think he's a better player than Paul George. And I think if you switch places, Paul George would be killing on Golden State. And Draymond Green, I don't think he can do the same thing in Indiana if they switch positions, if they switch sides, if they switch teams. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. Thank you, Danny D. Appreciate it. Just looking at it and just breaking it down right now, I have to agree with y'all right now. If he does make it, it's definitely that 4 spot, though. Even with Davis not making a playoff, Davis still much better numbers than me and better play overall. I'm not even looking at him over him. But Green, I definitely a better player. And Durant, the injury, although the numbers are still pretty good, but you got to give him credit for actually being there for the majority of the season for Paul George. We'll see what happens, though. Because if he doesn't get it, I think he's going, though. I really don't see him staying. Especially since that's what it's kind of reported he wanted to be from there and those type of things and actually be with the Lakers. So we'll see what happens, though. But it's definitely something to keep your eye on, fans and listeners. Thank you very much for that. How about you, Flo? You got anything for our tip-off segment?
Yes, I do, LA. But before I go to my topic, you mentioned a statement earlier with Paul George going to LA. Do you think that's considered tampering if he does leave Indiana and go to LA?
No, because you haven't seen anything behind the scenes that says they've been directly talking. Like, you haven't really seen that. At least I haven't. It's just more this hearsay type of thing. So unless it's some directly them contacting, I don't think you would get that tampering charge yet. How about you, D? What you think?
Nah, it's hearsay. No, it's like just rumors. It's nothing like written facts. And if it is, they ain't gonna say nothing.
No. Why, you think it is tampering, Flo?
Yeah. The more and more I'm hearing this, I just got that sense. If there's a behind closed door deal with a wink, wink. Yeah, definitely. I consider that's tampering. Definitely.
Yeah, but you had a lot of that happen before. With certain teams, do the little wink, wink. And, certain agents have that, kind of like they thought they had it in Miami a little bit with LeBron, asking for the point guard to be drafted and trying to hope, whether that move works out, then, we'll get them to sign back or those type of things. Then you look at Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh doing that during the Olympic game. That could have been considered a form of tampering for Miami, and it actually came to fruition. So, but I mean, unless you see the smoking gun, you hear some more things memorandum-wise or on video, I don't think they're going to get them for that. But continue, Flo.
Well, great minds think alike because my topic is regarding Paul George. According to Kyle Neubeck of LibertyBallers.com, the Philadelphia 76ers offered small forward Robert Covington and 2 first-round draft picks to the Indiana Pacers for Paul George. And unfortunately, the deal never happened. There was also some reports that the Sixers had offered Okafor or Nerlens Noel with some draft picks for Paul George. So my question to you guys is, what do you think about the statement I just mentioned in regards to Covington and 2 first-round draft picks going to Indiana for Paul George?
Small move by the Pacers. I don't want that. I don't want it. For what? I don't know. That's not my type of deal. Unless this is the number 1 pick for this this year,
that's what I'm trying to
and
say.
they're not going to get number 1 this year. What you think about Danny?
Well,
go ahead, Flo.
Well, what I was gonna say, I was thinking about the Lakers. I'm sorry, thinking about the Lakers because it's my understanding. I think the Lakers have to finish in the top 3 to keep their pick. Correct. They don't finish in the top. Their pick goes to either Philadelphia, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so. It's a weird thing with a lot of these top picks. There's a lot of conditions surrounding the way these teams finish. That's why even though they're tanking, a lot of teams are worried about losing their pick, Same thing with Boston. Like, they just went to the league and stated that they would trade for the Nets pick. Otherwise, they would have waited to the following year type of thing. But they actually already put the papers in for what I read. But go ahead, Flo.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about this?
I wouldn't do it if I was them, I think it's a good move for the other team, just because I don't think it's so hard for them to get players in that respect. But I wouldn't make that. Unless I know he's definitely going to re-sign with him. I wouldn't want to trade for Paul George unless I know I got that signed up that he's definitely going to stay here. What you think about Danny D?
Yeah, it's true, because if he don't sign an extension, Paul can be like, yeah, he's going to play a couple of games. I'm hurt, and I'm going to see y'all guys next year, and sign with another team. But then also Robert Covington, he's okay, but he's not no Paul George. And then the thing is, if they're trying to make the playoffs, Robert Covington ain't cutting it. I just want to know what kind of, if it was 2 first-round picks. That's a very key important if you can have time to develop. But, we talking about the Philadelphia Sixers, the team that have 4 centers, so I don't know.
That's true. What you think more about that, Flo? Anything else you want to elaborate on that?
Well, according to the Philadelphia 76ers, they wouldn't have a problem pulling the trigger on the trade. They would feel confident that they could re-sign Paul George once he's settled in Philadelphia, he gets comfortable with the players and with the coaching staff. They feel like they had a legit shot of re-signing him if Indiana was able to say yes to this deal.
Yeah, I gotta have that written down. I'm not doing that beforehand, man. You gotta do that before I even do the trade. What do you think about that overall flow? Would you do it yourself, Bill? If you are Philadelphia?
Honestly, if I was Indiana, I would have contacted the Lakers and say, "Listen, you want Paul George? Give me your top 3 pick in the draft, or your top 4 pick in this year's draft for Paul George." That's what if I'm Indiana, that's what I would do.
No, I agree with that. I would do that more for the Lakers. I'm not doing it for Philly. Because right now I don't even know if their pick is going to be that high enough for that. And just the same thing like I said, if he's not confirmed but staying, then it really don't make no sense to do that just for a rental. And you give up a top pick, you could just, build around that and, Simmons as well as Embiid if he comes back from the injury. So I wouldn't do that. But thank you for that.
But
Flo.
LA.
Oh, go ahead, Flo.
But LA, Philly would pull this trigger on this trade. Keep in mind, this is the same team that traded Nerlens Noel out of Dallas for practically nothing. So they would pull the trigger on this deal if you're Philly. They don't have a clue what they're doing over there, which is surprising when you have the Colangelo father and son tandem there. They don't have a clue how to run that organization right now. People are complaining about these guys. A lot of Philly fans miss Sam Hinkie, believe it or not.
Yeah, the process. Believe in the process, as they say. It's looking better, with that, because it's kind of did a little step back right now. But, you couldn't just keep tanking it year after year, though. That's the thing. After a while, you got to show something for it. That's the thing after a while. Man. I mean, and like you said, Eddie D said, doing drafting center after center, after a while makes you feel like, do you know what you're doing?
I'm laughing because I'm laughing at you too, because I just read an article and it said, because you know that Okafor is hurt, so they said it was the dumbest thing getting rid of Noel, because they said Embiid messed around and got hurt, and then you knew Okafor had messed up knees, so why would you get rid of the person that has no knee problems, who can play all the 82 games, was Noel, and you let him go for nothing? That had to be the dumbest mistake ever. And the coach said he tried to. The coach said he tried to talk to Colangelo, and Colangelo would not listen, allegedly.
We talked about that on the podcast, Andy. You know that. We all agree with that. And it made no sense because you still had him on a rookie contract. So it wasn't like you was pressed to have to move him this year. So it's like I didn't see the rush in that. And like you said, he's a more defensive-minded player. So at the end of the day, if you was going to keep one of them, I would have kept him over Okafor for that type of deal. It wasn't worth doing that. It wasn't like you got a big piece back. He's like, oh, it was worth doing it. So I didn't understand that part from that at all. But thank you, Flo. Appreciate that. And for my tip-off topic, it's a little off kilter a little bit, and it's just more of a question for you guys. I was looking at the upcoming playoffs, and basically I just want to know, I was thinking, which NBA player do you think benefit the most this season by actually winning a championship? And there's a particular reason why I want to bring up that question. So just offhand, who do you think would benefit the most actually winning the ring this year, individual player wise? Starting with you, Danny D.
NBA player will benefit the most in the NBA. Yeah.
I mean by the most, like legacy, like how people review them versus previous years or whatever moves they made to get to the team they with right now. You know, kind of like how, LeBron got validated last year by Cleveland winning and basically was his team type of thing versus being Miami being part of the Big Three.
For me, it would have to go back to LeBron. Because if he wins a ring this year and he beats Golden State, that's it. They can't say nothing. It's nothing you can say. It's nothing else you can say to that man. If he makes it to the final once again, that'd be like 4 or 5 years straight from that's making to the final. That's another record. And actually wins, you can't say nothing to that man. You can't say nothing to that man. I'll have to go with LeBron.
Okay, but do we put him in MJ status?
I have to be an MJ status. I can't put him in MJ status, but people will, because it was like he beat a super team. He beat the team that has 4 All-Stars on it. You'll say LeBron with an asterisk MJ status just because he doesn't have enough rings like MJ, but he'll be up there though.
Okay, well, I'm gonna talk a little more about that. Thank you, Andy. How about you, Flo? What you think?
Honestly, I believe Kevin Durant. He's got a lot going for him, especially with the criticism he received, leaving the Oklahoma City Thunder, going to the Golden State Warriors, signing with a super team with Golden State. I think there's pressure on him, to win a chip in this first year. So I think he's got a lot riding.
Okay, thank you. And that's what I was thinking. I was thinking Durant. I thought LeBron. But one player I thought about too, which I don't think really got a chance unless things really break a certain way, it's kind of Chris Paul on a little thing. I don't say he's the same type of player, but he's basically been, 10 seasons and only one conference and, haven't made really a conference final yet really like that. So to me, I feel like he can try to sneak in there and try to make a little push, because as we go further in the podcast, there's a reason I'm picking his team for a certain reason. But I feel like he's the one player that maybe you'll look back and say his Hall of Fame career, but never really got anywhere in playoffs or anything like that. But if he's able to make a maneuver to get past one of these big teams, I think you would look at him a lot different versus now. Kind of like LeBron did his thing last year. You can't take that from him. Durant is still MVP type player as well as LeBron. You really haven't seen that from Chris Paul type of player. And he's the only player that's kind of been there a lot of years that haven't really got to that level. So to me, I think he's the one player that would look a lot different if something break a certain way this year, who actually may have a chance depending on how things break. But after that, I think like maybe my second player would be, like you said, probably LeBron. I think he'll get the most push after that. Like you said, beating a superstar team like the Golden State Warriors. But I think even if the Warriors win, I think Durant is still going to look somewhat down on him, especially when you see what Westbrook has done by himself, which I'm going to say basically doing by himself over there in OKC. And you see with the, two-time MVP is Steph Curry, if they can't win a championship and you're MVP, you're going to take a big hit, perception-wise. This ain't one of the most wins out of all the teams ever, the year before you came here. So that's also something to think about in regarding Durant. How about that? Do you disagree or agree with that? Or what's your thoughts of that overall? Anybody could jump in.
With me, you know what it is? With Chris Paul being on the Clippers and stuff like that, to be honest, I never expect them to win a ring. When they had Houston beat, they were up in that series, and they were up by 20 in the fourth quarter, and they lost to Houston that year. I totally gave up on the Clippers. I was like, this don't make no sense. I think we watched that game. I just turned up to see it was ridiculous. It made no sense. It made no sense. Like, I lost all hope. Love Chris Paul. He's a great point guard, stuff like that. You gotta go, brother. You gotta lead that team, man, because it's like every year somebody gets hurt. Y'all get stagnant and y'all just lose. It's like, what's the point? The point is to win. You got to maneuver. Like you said, you got to maneuver. You can't hope for another team, nigga. You have to beat the team to make it. And they just don't have. I don't know if they just don't got the pieces to make that next step, to make the next level, to go ahead and try to win the ship. Remember, in the West, it's hard. I know it's hard, but you got to get the right pieces to progress and not degress. And that's what they've been doing.
They missed that small forward. That's the one thing that's still been hurting them to me. Out of everything, that, never have a legit small forward really in that position. But, I just think perception-wise, you would look at them a lot different. They go far in this playoffs right now, though. Because I think it's kind of like they'll come out of nowhere type of thing. And I think this is it. If they don't do something, make that big push, I think that's going to be it for this team. But, that's just something I was thinking about, like, who really need to win this chip right now, or at least get a good push for that chip. But, thank you, fellas. Appreciate that. And that was our tip-off segment. And that leads us right into our next segment, Hot Topics. And basically, as the regular NBA season comes to an end, we want to take a closer look at which teams we believe will make it to the NBA playoffs this year. Starting first with the Eastern Conference, then followed by the Western Conference. So starting with you, Flo, I know it's pretty much locked up for a lot of teams right now, but which 8 teams do you believe will make it to the big dance in the Eastern Conference?
In the East, Cleveland will finish with the 1 seed. Boston will be the 2 seed. The Raptors will be the third seed. The Wizards are the 4th seed. The Hawks are the 5th seed, especially after beating Cleveland back-to-back, down by 26. So definitely they'll be the 5th seed. Milwaukee, the 6th seed. The Pacers, the 7th seed. And the Chicago Bulls will win 2 in a row and lock up the 8th seed.
Okay. Yeah, Chicago does have the weakest thing at the end, though. Orlando and Brooklyn. I don't know. That schedule may have messed up that part. How about you, Danny D? Who you got for the Eastern Conference top 8 seeds? Thank you, Flo.
I got the same thing as Flo up to the 7th with Indiana, but I got Chicago not finishing the deal, and I got Miami as the 8th seed.
Nice.
Okay, Danny D, what's your reasoning behind that?
Man, didn't Chicago lose to the Nets?
Yes, they did yesterday.
Chicago lost to the Nets. They lost to the Nets. That's what I said. I'm going with Miami. I think Miami's pulling it. I think Miami might get it. So I'm going Miami with the 8.
Okay. Thank you there, Danny D. I agree with this time with Flo on it. I had the Cavs first, Celtics, Raptors, Wizards, Hawks, Bucks, Pacers, and even though I don't think the Bulls should make it, and I hope they don't, I hope you're right, Danny D. I think the Bulls is a sham, and a fraud. And I don't think they deserve it this year, not the way they've been so up and down and everything of that nature. But I think they're going to make it out just because they played such a weak last 2 teams with Orlando and Brooklyn versus the Heat, which has Cleveland and Washington. Both of them are, playoff teams unless they decide to sit people, which you never know with Cleveland and Tyronn Lue. Especially if they have it locked up. But I don't know if Cleveland is even going to have it locked up because the Celtics are still going to be fighting for that first spot.
Yeah, that's what's going to mess me up because Tyronn, he said he's not going to sit LeBron or Kyrie unless they get it locked. I'm like, come on, Tyronn, you messing me up, brother. Exactly. I got Miami for the 8. I got money on this, man.
I agree. So I was hoping that's going to happen too, man. But, I'm just looking at the breakdown of it. So just going by that, that's got to go with the Bulls. I hope you're right. I hope they pull the upset. But thank you for that, Danny D and Flo. And for Western Conference, who you got for your top 8? Starting with you this time, Danny D.
Got Golden State number 1, San Antonio as number 2, Houston number 3, Clippers as number 4, Utah as number 5, Oklahoma at 6, Memphis at 7, and Portland at 8.
Okay. Thank you, Danny D. How about you, Flo? What you got for your top 8 in the Western Conference?
LA, let me go back to something you mentioned before I give you my 8 teams in the West. You mentioned about how Chicago don't deserve to make the playoffs. Is it because they haven't beaten the Knicks all season?
That doesn't help their cause.
That's the only team that's beat.
Yeah. That definitely make you mad as a Knicks fan. We going for that lottery pick, but it's like we pretty much locked in the 6th position right now, depending on how the balls drop. But
never know.
I just think they were so incohesive and everything like that during the regular season, backbiting with each other and things like that. I just don't want to see them. I don't want to see it against Cleveland anyway. Even with the LeBron D-Wade thing, I don't care. I don't really like neither one like that. So just for me, I think it'd be more interesting to see the Heat. I think they played a lot harder throughout the regular season. They had the nice long win streak, and it deserved it to me. And I'd like to see that to see LeBron going against the Heat and Pat Riley and everything like that. So I'd much rather see that as a matchup. Yeah,
but they lost to the Knicks also. Miami lost to the Knicks also.
Yeah, Knicks winning games they don't deserve to win. Well, we'll get back into that as weekly roundup goes. But go ahead, Flo.
Yeah, my top 8 seeds in the West doesn't change with Danny. It's the same thing pretty much. Golden State, San Antonio, Houston, Clippers, Utah, OKC, Memphis, and Portland. It didn't change from Danny at all.
Yeah, we all got the same thing this time, especially the Nuggets was the last team that could have made a real push. But, as I stated earlier in the podcast, Westbrook eliminated them, and Oklahoma City Thunder with the last second shot, big time shot. Did y'all actually see that? If y'all did, make sure y'all got to see the clip of that. It was crazy, yo. He hit a shot that was like 4 point different distance out there, big time shot. And
I'll check it out.
Yeah, definitely take a look at that, and listeners too, take a look at it if you didn't already, and also just because at the end of the thing, the Nuggets had the Mavs and the Thunder. So to me, I was like, we're going to see how that's going to break down, but that really doesn't matter. And a big game by your boy, Damian Lillard the other day with 59 points and stuff. So that pretty much locks it in basically at this time. But I just want to talk about any sleeper team that you might have, or sleeper teams, plural wise, starting with you, Danny D, either in the Eastern Conference or Western Conference that you think people might not be giving a lot of credit to, that might make a big push in the playoffs. Or it might surprise you like Denver did Seattle back in the day.
Well, my sleeper team, I got to go with the Utah Jazz, man. For the 5th seed. If they end up with LA, even though LA got the season over them, I think Utah can beat these guys, man. I think they have a good team, a solid team. They all play together, and they deep. You got Rudy Gobert as that rim protector down there. Gordon Hayward, an all-star. Joe Johnson, your boy, L.A., out there still chilling. My main man, Flo main man, George Hill, if he can stay healthy. Derek Favors. They got a team. I really think they can be a very, very sleeper team as the Utah Jazz. They got 49 wins, and they playing together as a team right now.
Okay, thank you, Danny D. That's your sleeper team right there, D.
Yeah, for now, I was gonna go in the Eastern Conference. I was gonna go with Toronto as a sleeper because they got new pieces, but they're gonna go as far as Kyle Lowry. And last year, Kyle Lowry was playing kind of like a doo-doo in a couple of the series. So I'm gonna hold off on that one.
Okay, thank you, Danny D. Appreciate it. How about you, Flo? Who your sleeper teams, if you have any?
I have one sleeper team in the East, one sleeper team in the West. My sleeper team in the West is San Antonio Spurs. In Kawhi we trust, and I think he's gonna definitely get them at least to the Western Conference Final. At least. It might even challenge Golden State to a 7-game series.
Yeah.
In terms of the.
But is that a true sleeper, you think?
Yeah.
But they're second seed overall in the West.
Yeah, I'm still picking them as my sleeper team.
Okay. Any other sleeper team you might have?
I have one sleeper team in the East, the Toronto Raptors. I think they could beat Boston in the second round if they were to match up against them in the second round of the playoffs. With the addition of Serge Ibaka, rim protector, a guy that can shoot threes, a guy that can rebound, a guy that can get physical. I can see in the Eastern Conference Final a rematch between the Raptors and the Cavs. Definitely I can see that.
Okay, thank you, Flo. I definitely could see that as well. I think there's a lot of talent. I like the Ibaka move. I thought it was a big move when they did it. But for me right now, I'm looking at sleeper as the teams that's not really the top 2 or 3 teams in their conference. It's like you kind of expect them guys to be in the conference finals to me. So just looking overall, to me, I look at more like the Clippers. I think this is their last shot. They come in here as like a 5-game win streak not too long ago, and coming down to the wire. And I think if they stay healthy, I think they can make a little noise. But, we'll see what happens there. And also, for me, right now, it'd be the Pacers and maybe the Bucks. I like the Pacers talent-wise. I think they got a lot of pieces when you look at their bench. Like we spoke about, previously, Paul George is playing well. They got a lot of incentive right now. I know your guy's playing well for them, too, Danny D. I know you're a big fan of their center over there. So, I think... Exactly. Right. I think he's playing really well right now. And in the Bucks, I think this is going to be, they're coming out party a little bit. Not sure they're going to get through it, but I think whoever they go through is not going to have like a route right now. I don't see that happen. Right now it'd be Toronto. I don't think it's going to walk over them. I really don't. But, we'll see as time go. But those are my sleeper picks right now. If anybody disagree with anybody picks, let me know. If not, then we'll just go right into our next segment for the show. Okay.
LA.
Go ahead, Flo.
I think you guys hit it on the head in the previous segment. I think the window of opportunity has closed in with the Clippers already when they were up 3-1 against Houston. So I have no confidence in the Clippers whatsoever. Period.
Okay, I understand that, but they're playing the Jazz. The Jazz, to me, right now, if it broke down, the Jazz really hasn't done anything. They're still a young team. They're still trying to, make their way and, establish something. Every year, you keep saying this is a Jazz year to make that big push. And I like their talent. I like their ability, but they're kind of struggling a little bit down the stretch to me. You also have Gordon Hayward, who had a little injury the other day, contusion or knee. Not nothing major, but you never know. And to me, I think that's a team that they can get around. I think their veteran presence might be a little trouble for the Jazz, who this young team really hasn't been in there right now. So to me, I think they can beat them. And I think they probably will. So
they better. I got upset.
I hear you. But that's just my idea right now. And I think a lot of people sleep on them. I think I'm not the biggest Clipper fan, but I think if they're going to show anything, this is the time. Their big three is playing well, though. Blake Griffin's playing well. DeAndre's playing well. And Chris Paul is playing well. He's pretty healthy right now. So a lot of things could fall the right way. Jamal Crawford played well for them off the bench as a 2-guard. A lot of things can happen for them. I think they could make a little more noise than people give them credit for. But, we'll see what happens. And thank you, fellas, for that. That was a hot topic. And that basically brings us into our next segment, known as the weekly Knicks Roundup. And right now, the Knicks got 1 game left in this atrocious Knicks season. Since our last previous podcast, the Knicks went 3-5 for a total record at 30-51 overall. Their home record is 18-22, and their road record is 12-29. And basically right now, they'd be 6th place potentially in the upcoming NBA 2017 draft. We're not going to go into too many big details regarding the Knicks right now. But we got to go over it and just talk about a few things. What do you think overall play? Anything that stands out right now as the season comes to an end right now for the New York Knicks? Starting with you, Danny D. What you got to say about that?
Man, it's like beating a dead horse, literally. Thank goodness the season is almost over. Knicks, stop winning games. You're messing up the ping ball count. We need all the ping pong balls ever. We need a top. We're 6 right now. We gotta no, not 6. 6 and losing, guys. I'm talking about 6 that we need to move up in this draft and get one of these young players. Please stop winning games. Please, 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 please. Just continue to lose. Let these rookies go in so we can get a good pick. We can get DeAndre Fox, like my man Flau was talking about. That's all I got to say.
Oh, man. I think you just, speaking for all the Knicks fans out here, you hit it right on the head. Go ahead. Thank you, Danny D. How about you, Flau?
I'm tired of seeing Sasha Vujic on the floor. What is he contributing to? So taking up space on the roster. Another bad move by Phil Jackson. Once again, the $60 million intern don't have a clue how to run an organization whatsoever. I don't want to see Vujic on the floor at all. He should be on the bench. Matter of fact, he should be in uniform. He should give his uniform to the water boy. Period. I'm happy that Coach Hornacek listened to me and started playing Maurice Ndor. I want to see more of this guy. I'd love to see more of Plumlee. Maybe he can play better defense than Hernan Gomez, because Hernan Gomez is a horrible defender right now.
No, I agree. I've been beating that horse for a while, too. That's the big reason I don't want them playing to give him Porzingis, he had very good numbers last game. I know he put like 24 points, 11 boards. So his offensive game is very good, though. It's just, like you said, defense, it's just hard to keep him out there on the floor, man. You really can't.
It goes back to what you said, LA, in the previous podcast. Phil has to seriously think about moving Hernan Gomez. He really have to seriously think about it. Package him up in the deal.
I do. I agree. I think you would have to see if you could package him, even to move up to the top pick if you think that player is that great in this draft. I don't know if you want to do it this year or next year. If you think you can get the top pick in this draft, maybe you got the 6 with him. Maybe get top 2 or 3. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
No, I will hold off. I'll hold off and see what you get in the draft. I will hold off because since the debacle with Noah, we don't have an asset, and he's an asset right now that he's a big man that can score, doesn't play defense. Is either you hold up and see you can help him, teach him defense, because you remember he's a legit 7-footer who can play. So you hold on to an asset and use him as a playing card, because right now we don't have nobody else but KP, and we're not getting rid of KP. So you hold on until next year until we can move him then, see what pieces we can get, and we can see how it goes from there.
Okay, I understand that. What you think about that, Flo? Thank you, D&D.
I see Danny's point, but you gotta really, LA, seriously, we gotta consider the statement you made on the previous podcast. I think you gotta really move Hernan Gomez. You definitely have to seriously consider that. If there's an offer out there, do it. I mean, there were a lot of teams contacted Phil. Phil refused to pick up his phone. There were a lot of teams that was, that wanted Hernan Gomez, that wanted Courtney Lee, and Phil didn't budge. I don't understand why. And after watching this game against Toronto, Courtney Lee is not a starting 2-guard in this league, period, man. This guy's a backup 2-guard. I don't know why he's starting. I definitely think the Knicks should look for a shooting guard in this draft in the second round, a steal. They got to look for a shooting guard as a steal in the second round. A guy that dropped to the second round that should have been a first-round prospect. They have to look at that. The guy I'm thinking about is a kid in Florida State. That's who I'm thinking about right now. So.
Okay. Thank you, Flo. I think both of y'all made great points. And I definitely, as I spoke about before, Gomez, I think he's a really good player. I'm not just going to give him away. But like you said, Flo, you got to explore, see what you can get for him, especially if you get a star player back and maybe pack Gomez in the deal and make that happen. Because you definitely never play to go with Porzingis. The Melo's not the answer. That's pretty much done. But you can't move him. So I won't say you're stuck with Melo, but you just got to work around that either way. So just looking to the future, you got to have one more star to go with Porzingis. If he can make that happen, fine. Because right now I just don't see him being that. But he's young. He's got a lot of talent. You want to see what happens, like Danny D said. I agree with that part. You don't want to leave yourself vulnerable to that, especially with Noah, and he got suspension. He hasn't played well, so I totally understand where you're coming from with that. So you have to really see what's out there, though. I have to see what deal you can get, but I definitely throw his name out there and see what bites. If it's not what you really want, then, hold off to another year, and then you really could evaluate after the trainings, after the, season and training camp, and you could really see if his defense gotten better, and then make that deal next year, during the All-Star break if you can, or before the season ends, if the right deal works its way there. But, we have to see what's out there. And we definitely going to talk about that on the podcast, listeners. We're going to do basically who should stay, who should go before the end of the season. You know, just as the Knicks organization, we'll break that down probably next podcast. And we're also going to talk about that coming up to the draft. We'll definitely have a special draft podcast as well. When some of these things we'll talk about, seeing what pieces the Knicks might really need to go after and see if Hernan Gomez would fit into that team we're trying to move forward with. But appreciate that. Anything else you want to add to regarding the weekly Knicks roundup? Oh, just one thing else I want to add. Just like you said, Flo, just looking at it, let the young guys play indoor. I see some flashes. I'm just trying to see who can actually maybe play for the bench. I think Holiday's still playing pretty well for the most part. He's one of the few guys that can play 3 and D. Like you said, Lee, he's not really a starter, especially on this team. I think if you had a team that's like a Cleveland team, where everybody else is pretty much a star player around them, or like Golden State, you could live with him as a starter, but not with the way Knicks presently constituted. That's not going to happen. And like you said, I don't know why Vujic is playing. Let Plumlee play more. He only had 3 minutes the last game. Let O'Quinn keep playing more. And just see what you got. And Baker played 38 minutes that game. I don't know why he played that many. You can't let Randall and what's his name and Knicksfandom get more time. He only had 22 minutes, and I thought he played pretty well, the time he was given. He's getting more confident, driving to the basket more. And that's what you want to see, if these guys can actually play on your bench and be legitimate players in that regard. That's one of the weaknesses that this team had from the very beginning. We talked about their bench was not good, and we also said their defense. So, long year for the Knicks fan. Long year for us with watching this, but, we hope we help y'all get through it. We did the best we could with what we had with that, and, we'll see what happens. It'll be a brighter day, Knicks fans. Rejoice in that. Draft is coming. You got Porzingis. You got some cap space. We'll see what happens. We'll take it from there. But if y'all have anything else to add regarding weekly Knicks roundup, anything else y'all have for that, fellas?
Nah.
Okay, no problem. All right, so basically that would be the ending of our show today, unless anybody has anything else they want to add. And regarding that'd be closing remarks for the day. So I'll start with you this time, Flo. What's your closing remarks for today's show?
LA, I want to thank all the listeners. Please tell a friend, subscribe to the show, Knicksfandom. This is a show for NBA fans and Knicks fans all around the world. So, also, I want to thank you guys for allowing me to be part of this great show. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Flo. As always, appreciate your contributions. How about you, Danny D? Any closing remarks?
Want to thank Flo and LA. Great time together, guys. Appreciate it. And all the fans, subscribe, listen, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny D. Much appreciated as always, dear brother. And for myself, it's bringing us to another end of an episode of Knicksfandom. As always, I hope you listeners enjoyed it. A big thank you to my co-hosts, Danny D and Flo. Really appreciate all your contributions to the show. A big shout out to our dedicated, loyal listeners. Keep making sure you subscribe, like, and, share the show. It would be a big help as always. And as I stated earlier, we will also continue to cover the upcoming NBA playoffs, the draft lottery, and a lot more. So stay tuned. The Knicks season is in. Knicksfandom is still going on strong. Thank you guys. As again, have a great week. Take it easy. See ya.